Hey everyone, welcome to a Sunday night sketching session. Um, Tonight I'm going to just draw some stuff. I'm not really sure what's it going to be yet. I feel like I'm gonna draw some sort of portrait or something of some ugly dude or a girl or a monster. I'm not sure. Just something sort of like comfort zone-y. I'm gonna try and tell you exactly what I'm doing, because maybe then there's some useful tips in there, you know. First thing I notice is that there's no pen pressure active, so that's not good. So I'm gonna take you through a full process of a very speedy thingy. Yeah, it's gonna be. I know it's gonna be a portrait. Okay, so I'm not. That's what I'm gonna be doing. I just don't entirely sure yet. Not so. I'm just not entirely sure. Yeah, what kind of portrait it's gonna be. Uh, it's not gonna be a pretty girl, I think. That's just what I'm thinking just now. I think it's gonna be some sort of creepy dude, or maybe an orc. Yeah, should we? Yeah, okay. Let's make an orc. It's been a really long time since I'd drawn an orc, which is kind of strange because I used to draw orcs like the whole damn time, uh, especially when I was starting out as an artist. I think almost 10 years, 10, 9, 8 years something ago. I was like a massive World of Warcraft fan, right? So when I was uh, when I was starting out in drawing, I was still pretty much just playing World of Warcraft. So like my inspiration came from that actually, most of the time. It's a very long time ago. I was working as a Cisco engineer. This is like ancient history, right? By now. But I was working as a Cisco engineer in Amsterdam, and it was during the last crisis. Kind of weird that we're in one again right now, sort of, in the COVID crisis. That back then it was the financial crisis, and right after it, sort of like all my work just sort of stopped happening. It just wasn't any anymore. So my job, which was already quite boring, sort of turned into just, yeah, uh, going to work and sit there for 8 hours and just do nothing. And I was still allowed to play video games or watch movies or stuff like that, because I was pretty much had the office by myself and just wasn't anything to do anyway. So I was just gonna go there and just I don't know, try not to be too bored, and then go home again. And that was like the time that I sort of discovered that I kind of like to draw, because I was just going there and then just started drawing, and then time would fly by. And then as time was flying by, I was drawing, and then I could go home again. So for the first, I think 6, 7 months, 8 months, I was just going to work, drawing, and then go back home again. And then when I was home, because I liked doing it so much, I was drawing home as well. But I was also still sort of like playing World of Warcraft. And most of the time, it actually didn't occur to me at all that um, all those pictures, especially in the loading screens and stuff, that was painted by people. For some reason, I must have been a complete idiot or something. I don't know. I really don't know why I never noticed or sort of knew that it was a real profession or something. I don't know. It's weird, and I just don't know why that was. But I never thought of becoming a game artist or something, or a concept artist, or I really didn't quite know what that was. But then when I was playing the game, I was like, hey, there's actually, this stuff is all drawn, people do this on computers or whatever, or on paper, I don't know. I kind of want to know more. So I did some research. I came across the internet on some forums, some YouTube videos, and then I was just hooked. I was like, okay, wow, so people are like actually are able to do this for a living. I want to do that too. So I was started taking drawings more serious, and then I was like, okay, now I have a goal. Now I know what to do with my life, because I knew I was not going to be a Cisco engineer for very long, because it was just so boring to me. Uh, I mean, no disrespect to anyone who is a Cisco engineer or anything. Don't get me wrong. You know, I mean, you do what you want to do, right? But I was quite determined that I was not going to be that. So yeah, I sort of like continued drawing at work, and then when I was home, I drew some more, and that's sort of like how I got into it. I'm, by the way, completely messing up the drawing, because I'm not really used to drawing and painting. Or, no, drawing and talking the whole time. I don't want to make this like a very boring session for everyone. So, let's mess this guy up a bit. Make him a bit more interesting, right? So I'm using a brush right now, but I'm not entirely sure where I got it from. I very often make my own brushes when I work. I think I have a very, very, very old tutorial on my YouTube channel that shows how you can make brushes, and that's sort of like something I still do quite a lot. This one, I'm not so sure if I made this myself, actually. Could very well be, or maybe I modified it, but it's sort of like a, you can see it's very textured, but it's very painterly, you know? There's like on the left side there's a little bit less, and on the right side the edge, especially when it's small, can be quite hard. So it's sort of like an all-round brush. I really like it a lot. So let's make this guy a little bit more mean or something. I don't know. He's a bit too good or something. Let's hunch him over a bit. So what I always try to do, well, especially when I'm just doing stuff without any plan or something, I usually try to start really small. As you can see, it's a very tiny canvas like this. The canvas is actually really big, but I'm just completely zoomed out because I don't really want to get into any detail right now. I just want to draw stuff and get some shapes going, get an idea, some value. As you can see, my computer is very slow right now because the canvas is actually really big. So if I'm doing this, it's the brush is actually really large, so it just slows it down quite a bit. So what I'm doing now is just like toning up the background a bit, so the difference between the character and the background is so big. And because I haven't actually completely filled in the background, you know, there's immediately some sort of light or something going on here, which is pretty cool. So that's kind of neat, right? And we can use that. We can build out his shoulder like this. And he already has some light going on here, and then maybe he should have something in his eyes. He gets like all mean, you know. He has kind of an egg head. Let's darken that up a bit. So what I found right now is that the light is gonna come here, right? So there's for some reason there's a shadow going here. So this is pretty cool because now we can like sort of cut out his this piece, which will be like the focal thing, and then we can use the cheekbone here and some part of the nose, and then we can highlight a teeth or something, or maybe a part of the teeth, and then another teeth over here. So as you can see, we didn't really plan this, but it is sort of coming together. I can already sort of like imagine or hope where it's actually going, right? So let's do that. Let's get to work. Let's try and get this sucker to look only a tiny bit good. So I mean, I do this not that often, honestly. Especially lately, I've had to do quite a bit of environmental work. So it's kind of refreshing to just go back in and just paint a portrait, especially of an orc. Like I said, I haven't drawn an orc for a very long time, so it's actually cool. By the way, if you enjoy this kind of videos, or if you enjoy this kind of art, or my very annoying voice, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I have recently tried to breathe some new life back into it. I did some videos and tutorials before. I'm going to try and do some more in the future because I really do enjoy making videos, and so yeah, I want to kind of get like a community going and help where I can. I mean, I know that when I started out, I had there was this forum online that's called conceptart.org. Not sure if it's actually still exists, but what it was back then, it was like quite a big hub for artists and professionals and newbies and all kinds of levels, and they were all just there, and they were all trying to get better. And I think a community like that doesn't really exist anymore, or maybe it does, but I just don't know where it is, or I just don't know. I don't really have the time to get involved in anything really. I'm not sure why that is, but I think it's at least there was a lot of help back then that I got from people, and a lot of help that I received there, and I kind of want to try and give something back, you know. It's not going to be much. I've been doing this for quite a while. I work for quite a lot of companies. I think I sometimes know what I'm doing, not always. So I hope that it can at least be sometimes useful for people, and if I can help just a few, or inspire a few to draw, you know, or you, if you're listening right now, then I think my mission is succeeding. So I don't have any illusions that this is going to be a 2 million subscribing channel or whatever. You know, that's probably not going to happen. It would be cool. It would be cool to make more content, more educative content, and just put some more effort into it, you know. But I just don't. I still have a mortgage to pay and stuff, so if I don't think videos will be able to do that. But you know, you never know. You never know. So no problem. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is just gonna I Control Shift C copy, and then Control V, and now I create everything on one layer, right? So I'm just gonna delete this, and I'm going to rotate him a bit. Okay, so what do you guys think? Is he cool? No? You know? I'm not sure yet. But I think he can be a big meanie, you know? I think it can be cool. So let's fill this in. And I'm going to take one step extra zooming. So now we're going to go in a tiny bit more, and then we actually see what we sort of have right now. I, by the way, rarely go from black and white to colors, so I'm not sure if I'm going to color him right now. But who knows? Maybe we can just do some quick grayscale to color thingies or something. It's actually one of the only videos on my actual YouTube channel that, at least, like at the moment I'm making this video. I'm not sure what's gonna happen in the future. So, but one of the most popular videos on my channel was actually a tutorial I made a couple years ago about how you can make um, grayscale images into color, like what kind of steps you can undertake to do that. So that's pretty cool. So we are now zoomed in a tiny bit, and we can actually get a better idea of what we've actually been drawing and what we can be drawing, how we're going to change things. So like I said, I'm going to try and get the light coming from there, and I'm going to have some light coming from here. So we can chisel him out, you know. He's going to have like a light on his nose, and light on his brows, and light on his cheek like this, and maybe on his teeth. You know, so it's going to be like that. You can already see that is actually that sort of works. You know, if you look at the tiny portrait, you can already see that, like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. You know. So we're not going to do that right now, but that's like what we're working towards. All right. I'm just gonna get rid of these things because I did it on the layer I'm painting on. But I'll just for practicing and teaching purposes, I'll add another layer, and then I can show you like later on what changed. All right. Sorry, I'm take a sip of water. Okay, let's go. As you can see, by the way, I am trying to keep my values fairly low key. Not low key, but low key. You know, I'm not trying to make too big of a difference in white and dark. I'm not going to use my full-on darks yet. You know, I'm going to keep these in the bag for a little longer. It's actually pretty cool because you can sort of use these in a later stage to really make things pop and fall back into his face, you know. And something that I also do, which is I think a pretty good habit to have when you're doing this kind of stuff, is that when you're like drawing like this, you're using a very big brush, right? And then as the further you go in, the smaller your brush gets, which is sort of like the opposite, you know? First you have like the very small canvas with a big brush, and then the bigger your canvas, the smaller your brush. If you sort of like invert in and out like that, then you can have much more control and you can keep adding details, sort of. I'm not sure if that's how you should approach everything, but that's usually something I do. And like I said, I keep a lot of eye on the tiny portrait thing, the navigator up there, because there you can really see sort of like what you're doing in terms of values and if it works or not. And then you can try and see if you should need some stronger lights here and there, or some darker darks, you know. And that way you can really make the right decisions, like what you're supposed to do. So that's kind of useful, because you don't want to just be making bad decisions the whole time, which you're gonna do if you're starting out, which is fine. It's all a matter of learning, right? I still learn a lot too, you know. I sometimes make stuff and I think like, oh, this is pretty good, and then I send it off to my art director and they go like, well, this is not actually what we're looking for, and this shouldn't be like this, and this shouldn't be like this. And I was thinking like, oh, I thought I did something cool, but maybe I didn't, you know. And I think getting better at arting, you know, painting, drawing, etc., it's mostly just the fact that you can either make mistakes and cover them up, or you just fail less. You keep failing. It's when you fail, you learn. So you should never be afraid to fail. That's just part of learning. So don't worry about that too much. Just make sure you keep failing at stuff, because that's how you learn. But what I was going to say is that it's important to actually know that when you, yeah, where was I? Yeah, failing. Yeah, when you get better at art, you're just gonna fail a little bit less, and the things that you do that aren't quite right, you're just way better at like sort of, how do you say that, covering it up, right? If you see how we started this portrait, there's probably a lot of things like with facial construction or values, the basics, blocking things in that weren't quite right, etc. But when you sort of know, when you get better and you sort of know what you're gonna be doing or know what you do, and then you see them, but you're not worried about them. Well, if you're still very much a beginner, which is also of course fine, then you might stress over things that you can easily later, in a later stage of painting, just muffle up. You don't have to have something be perfect in the beginning. Something that, like, I remember when I was just beginning out, I could sometimes stress when I was trying I used to draw like a lot in a sketchbook, right? Which I think is a good habit as a beginner. But I was doing these things where I wanted to start with a circle and then this, so I could like make a head, right? I was like, oh, and then I could sometimes stress out that this circle wasn't a circle, which is just, of course, you're trying to learn things, you gotta do it right. You gotta put some effort into making a circle, because that's at that point, when you're at that stage, then that circle is important as part of the learning process. But right now, if I would have to do something like that, I probably don't give a damn about how round that circle is. I know that if I'm going to paint that face, it's going to be fine, you know? And I think that's sort of like the evolution you go through. So, alright. So I'm going to add a little lights here and there. Don't want to make it too long before I call it sort of, well, not finished, but, before we actually see it into an orcish kind of dude. I was first thinking of like maybe giving him some extra teeth or something. Should he have like should he be sort of like a World of Warcrafty orc, or should he be more of a Lord of the Rings orc? I'm not sure. I also am not really sure what I'm gonna do with his hair. If I'm going to give him, he should probably have some hair. Should he have eyebrows and a mustache? Probably not. Just some gross, fatty, black hair, ponytail kind of thing. Maybe it's even like going over his back like this or something. He's gross. It's like, ooh, it's like looking to eat some meat tonight or something. I don't know. It's kind of like I'm gonna be eating you. So now I'm using some, as you can see, I'm sort of like evolving or transitioning from dark to darker and from light to lighter. And that way I can sort of like control what values I'm using and where everybody should be looking. So I'm seeing that I want to get the focus more on this part. Also, as you can see, by the way, I keep flipping my canvas, right? Because that's actually really important. because that way you can sort of like keep refreshing the image for your eyes. Once you do that, it's actually easier to spot your own mistakes and see where you should work on. So that's one of the very good habits to have as an artist. Keep flipping. Yeah. Again, what I was saying earlier, if you enjoy these kind of videos, please do subscribe to the channel and let me know below in the comments, like if you enjoy this kind of stuff. Is something that you would like to see more often? And if so, well, is there any specific topic that you would like to see, or anything specific that I should talk about when I'm doing this kind of stuff? Because then I can help sort of like cater some content towards what you guys want to see. Also, should he be wearing a shirt? What do you guys do when you're doing this, or is this like what I'm doing right now, where I'm just like drawing randomly, sort of? Is that something that you guys do as well? I know there's like quite a big community on Facebook called like the Daily Speed Paint. I used to do quite a bit of that. Thought that was really cool. So sort of like a group that sort of like invites everybody to just do a speed paint every day, and they provide you with some subjects, which is pretty cool. Most of the time they're really cool subjects, some challenging stuff. Sometimes it makes no sense, and you can just, if you just see like what people come up with, it's amazing. Really puts you in place sometimes, the internet. So what I did now, I added a overlay layer. It says bedekken, but that's because for some weird reason my Photoshop is in Dutch and not in English. And then I fixed it, and it was in English, and then I restarted it, and then it was back in Dutch again. So I was like, okay, whatever, man. So I just kept it in Dutch. I'm trying to find. I'm just gonna do it like this. Crap. I don't know what's going on. I wanted it to be in black and white. Yeah. Okay. That's not good. I think I want to do this. Oh well. Okay, so that kind of made it weird, didn't it? Oh no. Okay. So yeah, apparently I still had my canvas settings set on CMYK, because I'm at the moment I'm also working on 2 board game projects that require me to deliver everything in CMYK, which is like a color mode. So apparently I forgot to reset it and put it on back on RGB, or in this case grayscale. This is weird, right? That's not cool. That's not cool at all. We need to have cooler teeth for our orc. This shouldn't be so big. It should just be tiny teeth or something. Perhaps he has a bit of a tooth problem here. That his own tooth cut into his upper lip, which must be freaking annoying if you have these kind of teeth. Just imagine flossing with these things. It's not good. And he has some bad skin over here. Maybe got punched in the nose a couple of times, you know, because he's a fighter or something. Or maybe he's just mad because he has such bad teeth. I don't know. And as you can see, I'm not really adding that much detail. I'm really just like suggesting things. And at least that's how I call it always. I'm just suggesting something is there, even though it's not really there. And for me, that's usually, especially in concept art, that can be enough, you know. And then if the idea is good, or if the idea is approved or anything, you can sort of spend some time refining it and getting it to work and making it so that everybody gets what's going on. This guy has some veins popping, man. He's very mad. You should not have eaten that last chicken wing. I'm trying to keep looking here as well. And as you can see, I'm sort of like losing what I kind of intended to do, which is not good. So I'm going to try and get that back a bit. I think that that move from CMYK to grayscale sort of messed it up. At least in my mind it did. Not sure what actually went wrong, but for some reason the values sort of changed quite a bit and brought everything more closer together than they actually were, I think. So I'm kind of losing like this as the focus point. So, but luckily we are in Photoshop, and Photoshop is a program that allows you to tweak almost everything in an image, which is insane. So I'm not worried, not yet anyway. First I'm going to try and see if I can just bring it back myself, and just painting it and adding more darker parts to the image. You know, I think like parts where it's like parts where his eyes and cheeks and nose as well should be getting lit. It should become more white. It's like chiseling with light. Chisel with light. Yeah, you're sort of sculpting in a sense, right? It's trying to, from a flat background, you're trying to put something in, something that feels 3D. Trying to bring that. At least that's what I'm doing right now. Trying to convey that. Make it believable or something that this guy is real. That he is really mad at you. I'm not sure if it's working. So, here we go. Going to get that gross ponytail of yours. Maybe there's some light coming up here as well. The back of him. So it cuts that ponytail away from him in a bit. Yeah, and again we have to flip because we have to keep it fresh. I might be flipping a bit more often than normal, but it's also kind of weird. Like again, I said I'm not that used to painting and then talking about what I'm painting real time, and I'm trying to make the right choices. I'm trying to explain what I'm doing, if it's making any sense. It's kind of, it's quite difficult, actually. Okay, so where are we now? Right now, I think, I'm not sure. Uh, I think we're almost there. I think we're almost at the point where I'm going to go in a little bit further. So that's sort of like the steps, you know. We went from somewhere here to here to here to here, and now we're here, or actually we're here. And now I'm almost at the point where I'm like, yeah, now I can really, really do it, and then go in and start detailing some more. But kind of want to keep it painterly as well, so I don't want to get too carried away everywhere, because I want this to be a kind of like a quick drawing, right? So, or a quick painting. So I'm going to try and keep it sort of minimal in the sense of how much actual detailing I'm going to try and do here. So like this whole part with this neck is kind of strange, right? For some reason he needs to have sort of like a, his neck is just not defined enough for me to accept it or something, you know? I'm like, no, this isn't right. I don't know if you guys also have that. Maybe that also comes with a bit of experience, I guess, and just when you try to do a lot of anatomy, or when you have to draw quite a lot of characters or something, so you have to sort of like know your anatomy, and at some point you're like, you could just look at something what you're drawing or what somebody else has drawn, and you go like, no, there's something's wrong here, you know. I even have that when I'm going through a museum or something, you know, because these guys, the old masters and stuff, I mean, they were, most of the time they were brilliant, especially at like rendering and making things look so, all these tiny details and stuff, and sometimes things that don't really matter also, but they weren't all very great at anatomy. I think like the knowledge that we have available in our day and age is so much faster and so much perhaps better, that for even sort of more amateurish artists, most of them might already be better at some anatomy than some painters that you actually see in museums. So, and to be sort of like top of the bill in our world today, you need to be, oh, you need to be so damn awesome, which is can be very intimidating, you know, as a young artist. I am definitely aware of that, because I am usually quite intimidated when I go to a website like ArtStation or something. You see all these amazing artists, or even on projects that I work on, you know, and I get to like, hey, this and this guy has made a mock-up. Can you try and see if you can do something with it as well? And then I get something in front of me going like, oh, dude, what am I supposed to do with this? This is awesome. Like a lot of YouTubers here as well on YouTube that are just so good at drawing. It's really cool. It's intimidating in a sense, but it's also really cool to see how good these people are. You know, I can really appreciate it. I know how much work, how much time and effort goes into it. I just like I got people I know from events and stuff. Like I went to art events like IFCC, or here in the Netherlands there's I think it's called the art department or something. It's really cool if you just see how good all these people are. Even the young kids can be really intimidating. But it's just so cool. There's so much talent. Or well, most of the time if people say, oh, that's so talented, I kind of get kind of pissy, because I know how much work everybody is doing, and just saying it's talent is just sort of like diminishing that work in a sense. Okay, so I just added another um, overlay layer, which is set to be quite dark. So I'm going to add a few more darks, because especially this part, and this part is a bit too dark, but this background isn't. So I want the background to be a bit more dark. So I'm trying to get this to pop, right? This needs to read better. So this ear needs to be darkened up a bit, and this one too. His nose, his eye socket. It's so cool. I mean, it's so cool that this program can do this, all of this stuff, you know. I usually when I'm drawing with a pencil or something, I also try to start out with a really hard one, like an H, one, you know, or an F or something like that. And then the further especially as when I'm really trying to do my best, you know, really trying to make a cool portrait or something, or drawing, I slowly, gradually go into more dark pencils from HB to 2B, 4B. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here as well, you know, trying to slowly, as you can see, we went from having something like this, slowly, gradually building up the values, getting a little bit darker and a little bit wider, a little bit darker, a little bit wider, and now we're a little bit darker again. But this is the point where I'm going to try and go in a bit, and then I'm going to flesh in some things out, because if you see, when we zoom in, this guy is a mess, you know. I'm going to use so these are just standard Photoshop brushes. Not really sure how standard they are. I think I'm using Photoshop 2020. I think these has been in there since Photoshop 6 or something. So this is it has kind of a hard layer or hard edge. I think the brush that I use the most is the one I've been using the whole time, which is this sort of like, yeah, painty brush kind of thing. Like I said, I'm not really sure where I got that. I do know that, like, what I see on YouTube or as on Facebook and stuff like that, these, you see like all these commercial and ads for like, buy this brush and blah blah blah. Well, believe me, it's really not the brush. It's a brush can be helpful, and that's it. You know, it's bullshit. You're not gonna pay for a brush. You know, you can make brushes in Photoshop. It's so easy. It's so easy to make brushes in Photoshop. So unless I missed something completely, and nowadays you need, or you can have Photoshop brushes that are actually just making you a better artist, like right when you install them. If that's the case, then I take back all my words, and I need to get myself some of these brushes. But I don't think that's the case, and in that case, I think it's a waste of money. So don't do that. Just build your own brushes. I do that a lot. Like I said, for almost all the projects that I work on or paintings, I sometimes just see a need for something that I want to have. Sometimes that's a cloud or a sky, or sometimes it's a texture or a rug, something, whatever. And I just make a brush there when I need it. What kind of brush that is, or a tree, you know, whatever that can be. I kind of feel like a Bob Ross right now. But it can be anything. But I just make the brush right there and then for the project. And then most of the time, unless it's a really good brush, and I feel like, yeah, I can really use this, I keep it. Otherwise, I save it or delete it, you know. Because I have too much brushes, as you can see. I don't even know. I use like four. A hard round, a soft round, the chalk brush that you just saw me using, and this one. And I think that's it. I don't think I need that much more, unless it's something very specific like I just said. But then I just make them myself. Anyway, if you're still watching, by the way, kudos to you. That's thank you. You know, it's really cool that you've made it this far. I hope I'm not letting you down. I hope it is somewhat informative. If you are still watching, you definitely have to leave a comment like, hey, I'm still watching this after I don't know how many minutes. Must be quite a few so far. Not that fast today for some reason. Just, like I said, just drawing and talking, or painting and talking at the same time is just is gonna get used to this. It's not impossible, but it's quite difficult. I wanna gotta make some room here. Okay, bleh. Brush. Probably gonna remove this eye. I kinda hate it. It looks weird. First gonna add in his other eyeball. And as you can see, or the good thing with this light setup that I did, where it's like the light coming here and from there, is that I'm actually going to need a lot less detail here. This is probably gonna be enough. What I just did, these 3 strokes, that's probably gonna be enough for this eyeball to read well enough. Because our brains are wired in this weird way that you sort of only really focus on things that are in the light, you know, and the shadow is just your brain just renders that as some kind of awesome program. Just like, oh, it's in the shadow. Well, I can see the light thing, so the shadow thing is gonna be like this. And you don't really have to know or see the rest of the thing to already sort of be able to fill it in, you know. And as a painter, you should definitely make use of that ability of everybody's brain, because that's just gonna save you so much time. You know. So it's just a tip right there. So I'm zoomed in quite a bit right now, and as I said earlier in the video, like the further I zoom in, the smaller my brush gets. That's sort of like what's happening here. If you want to draw and paint details, then you definitely have to have a small brush. But these sort of like these scribbly thingies I'm adding every now and then, that's gonna sort of like help to convey the texture, you know, because I'm not gonna show this image in this resolution like this up close. I'm not gonna be printing it probably. Most people that will look at it at a glance, and they will not go zoom in and see like, oh wow, he even has things within his teeth or something, you know. They're just gonna look at it in a few seconds and just gonna move on. So in that for a few seconds you don't have to detail everything. So I'm going to try and just get it good enough that people think that it's fully rendered, but it's not really rendered. It's just rendered enough, you know? So now I'm going to add some skin, you know, get an idea if that is like really rough skin. He's gonna have that all over. So what you do then is just like make tiny or smaller creases, you know. You can have like, maybe it's a hair, or maybe it's just skin deformity, just texture, wrinkles. Maybe, you know, people have these sort of spots or something when they've been in the sun for really long, or maybe it's some mud or pigment or whatever. You can have all kinds of things happening on someone's skin, especially when they're big orcs, you know? So, now I'm just gonna ruin things. I'm not really ruining things. I'm not sure we know. But as soon as I zoom out, I know if I have ruined things. But definitely not going to detail everything about this guy. I maybe have already defined too much. Maybe. Especially as like I said, I wanted this to be sort of like a quick, maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hour video or painting, and I'm not sure if I'm already there. I think so. I feel like I'm already at an hour, hour and a half. Definitely an hour. What do you think? I should have set a timer or something. It's kind of weird. It should not have that. It shouldn't have that. I hate it. I hate it. He's he's cross-eyed or something. I should be there maybe. Yeah. So I'm gonna use some extra light here. Trying to make these creases a bit bigger or more lighted, because like I said, I want to have the light come from up there, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint in some light here, and just like I said, I'm going to try and make it sort of like scribbly, so it's sort of like a texture-ish. I'm going to keep in mind that the light is coming there, okay? So when you're doing this, then you have to sort of like imagine in your mind that if there's like his skin is like this or something, you know, because it's a crease, so the light is going to hit it here, not really there, but it might actually bounce there. So this cannot be too dark, huh? So that's how it's going to be. Is that making sense? I hope so. It's late. It's almost 12. Anyway, let's continue. I'm going to try and build it up. You know, I'm going to try and build up some values, some textures here. He's going to have, just gonna color pick stuff from here. I'm gonna use the chalk brushy layer, or brush that I have here, because it's sharper. I'm gonna try and get a stronger light sense here. Some smaller details, right? Because then that sort of like takes over the viewer's attention from other parts. Actually thought this was lighter, but when I color pick it, it's only saying it's like 75% or something. I really thought that was going to be really closer to 100. It's not. That's pretty cool. That means I still have quite a room to play. You know? I can maybe make him drip sweat. And he's like, oh man, I'm doing this video, but I'm not looking good. Uh-oh. Oh well. At least we try, right? That's one thing that I've learned over all these years. You just gotta keep trying. Sometimes you get like at least when right now when I'm working, I get a new client, and then it feels like a step up, you know? It feels like a bigger company I'm working for. It feels like a bigger project I'm working on. And I get like, oh, I get sort of like nervous, you know, can I do this? Oh shit. You just gotta try. Usually it actually works out, you know? Just gotta try. Be humble. Try to learn. Don't think you're the best. You're never gonna be the best. Absolutely never, ever, ever gonna be the best. So don't even think about it. You know, it's just not gonna happen. There's always gonna be someone that you're going to look up to and go like, oh shit, that guy is so good. So don't think so. So don't think like that. But also don't get yourself down. You know, there's probably times I know I had them where I think like, oh man, I'm just not getting better, or you know, everybody else is so much better than me, which I still think so, which is fine. I sort of learn how to deal with it. You know, you can just completely ignore it. But you shouldn't beat yourself up. Everybody, how good, or you think how good that person is, they were once at the same point you are in right now. Where you're doubting yourself and you're thinking like, ooh, am I actually cut out to do this? Can I actually become an artist for this kind of stuff? Can I be this good or whatever? You can, because they could too. You know, if you really want it, then you can just practice, practice, practice. Put enough time into it and you will be able to get that good. You know, and you might have a very unique style that you can develop over the years, and you're trying to experiment with it, and people love it, and then you get even praise from the people that you actually looked up to, maybe someday. You know, or you get to work with them on a project or a game. Freaking amazing. So, should not forget his cheek. His cheek needs some light. Oh, I wish I picked an easier subject. I haven't painted an orc in so long. I think the last time I painted an orcish dude, I was at a different level or something, and now I'm just... I just want to go too far or something. I don't know what it is. Okay, so that was... I forgot. If there's light coming here, then his teeth also have a shadow. Probably not a very big one, because they're kind of shitty teeth. You know, for orc should actually have like these. You know. Oh well. Maybe some other orc time. Okay, so I don't really know how long I took so far. Like I said, I usually think it's a lot longer. Maybe it's not that bad yet. I kind of hope so, because my hard disk might get full. He has this really egghead, right? He's a giant egghead, this guy. Okay, so I'm going to use the soft brush now, because I want some atmosphere in here, so I'm going to change my opacity to 50. I'm going to light up. And I'm also going to use the back end of my stylus, which is the eraser. And I can just sort of erase. And that way I can sort of gradually light things up, but then in a way that it sort of adds atmosphere, right? You can do the lighter parts. You can use that to sort of like blend in the details as if he's almost shining or something. Like, oh. Should he be shining in his neck? I don't know. Some neck shine. Neck polish. Okay. He's getting somewhere. Slowly. And to use some darkness as well. I think his His eye sockets are actually quite dark already. You can see how it's sort of like it's popping. If you darken the area around him, it's like he's getting really like ooh, as if he's at a campfire or something. You know, he doesn't have that much expression in his forehead or something. There's not something. If I would have to do this again, you know, if I had some more time, I'd probably get some more lining here. I can actually do that quite easily, I think. Ooh. Oh, oh, oh. But you can, if you follow the process, if you're still here listening, again, kudos to you, and thank you for the support. Um, don't marry your design choices, right, or your choices. Just be willing to change things around, unless you're really like this is going to be a very easy piece or something or whatever. But if you feel like at some point, at what stage whatsoever, you sort of feel like you've made the wrong decision, go back and change it, or just don't be afraid to change it or try something new. Something I do quite a lot on more elaborate pieces where I really have to do some planning. And then sometimes I plan it, did a sketch, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna happen. I'm gonna be doing this, and I sort of have an idea of what I'm actually going to do. And then halfway, I sort of find out it actually doesn't really work. I just like redline myself, sort of like play your own art director, you know, go like, hey, I actually don't really like it that much. I feel like if I continue it, I'm not going to be too happy with my result. So perhaps I should change it. And then what is it that you would change? Just like I said, play your own art director. See what you would actually want to do to change your design or your painting. I think that's a good habit, especially when you don't have clients, so you don't really have art directors, and perhaps you also don't have the most reliable people in the internet to give you critique. You know, unless you have like one of these online courses where there's like a legitimate professional giving you advice and tips. That's pretty cool. You know, those people you can definitely trust. But I wouldn't always just take all the advice of all the internet, especially when it's like geared to your image or something. Like there's a lot of people out there who don't really know what they're saying. There's also a lot of people out there that do know what they're saying, of course, but just be careful. You know, you don't want to get burned down or get like the wrong advice or something. So he's going to have some hair on his chin. He should have a shave. Okay. I'm starting to get the idea that might be too late to actually do this. I'm really tired. I have some very annoying deadlines coming up that actually force me to work this weekend instead of just chill outside and enjoy the weather. So I was stuck inside drawing and painting, and which is fine, of course, you know, I mean, it's my work. I love doing this. But when it's so nice weather outside, I just want to go outside. I want to go for a run, or at some rum, and just go outside and chill, you know. But unfortunately, there's people with bad agendas, bad planning, and now I have to work a lot. So this weekend I couldn't enjoy outside, unfortunately. Maybe next weekend. Probably not, but so I'm adding, like I said earlier, I'm going to do the scribbly thingies. to add some really bad skin, you know. This guy went through hell in puberty. Skin is also like really annoying to draw, I think, especially sort of like the very smooth skin. I kind of like this kind of stuff because it's sort of like you can't really make a mistake, you know. It's it's going to be quite easy to just, I mean, you can't really make a wrong stroke, or because the guy is just a mess, you know. So it's kind of easy to do this. But if you have to draw like this, a very pretty girl or something, then you have to just use so much soft brushes, and I'm really not that good with a soft brush, so I usually make the mistake. And then I usually make mistakes. I'm not that great at rendering, I think. Especially not, like I said, girly skin or pretty boy skin or whatever. I'm much better at orc. So, you know, because they just have a lot of stuff going on, and you can just get away with it. You know, it's like, yeah, he has this rough skull, rough skin, whatever. They can have just much more before it starts looking really weird. Although this guy already looks kind of weird. And I'm trying to put some more light behind his very dark forehead. You know, where I was just darkening things up. I'm not actually lighting him up again because I kind of wanted to get that form of his skull visible. So it was just blending too much into the background. So now you see that we're actually just we're tweaking the whole time, you know. That's we change and we refine, and then we change again, and then we refine, and then that's sort of like what we're doing. So anyway, I hope this is somewhat useful to you guys. Trying to give some useful tips in between. Like I said also before, there's some more videos on my YouTube channel. If you care to check them out, there will be more stuff in the future, definitely. So be sure to subscribe as well, and leave a comment or a like or something. You know, it's good to know that there's actually people watching and appreciating the effort you're putting in. So if you're I'm not making you do this, of course. But if you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool, dude, you should do more often, or I kind of enjoyed watching this, I learned something, or hey, I'm also a Cisco engineer, why are you making fun of my work, you asshole, then let me know. I'm sorry. I really am. It must be quite a cool job for most people. I just, well, I don't want to go in and discuss my whole youth or something, but I think I always sort of like wanted to draw, but I couldn't. You know, school wouldn't let me, or there was no sort of like direction in school that I could pick that had anything to do with art, so I was never able to. Otherwise I would have started way earlier, I hope. Maybe not, but I hoped I would have started way earlier, because I was 23 when I started drawing, when I like really started drawing. So that was, I think, quite late. Um, the good thing, of course, is when you're a little bit older. I don't, you know, when you're a little bit older, you sort of like you really know what you want to do. So that helps to motivate you quite a lot. I think I don't think like 23 was too late. Uh, uh, by now I know it wasn't too late because I'm actually made it into my work, so it's definitely possible. But yeah, the positive thing is when you start late, you really know what you want to do. So you're super motivated. Especially in my case, I already did something that I didn't like, and I really didn't want to go back to doing that again. So that was like the ultimate motivation to just work work my ass off and make it work. I didn't want to go back into working with computers. I mean, I still work with computers, but I just wanted to do something with art and draw, stuff like that. I did not want to go back into IT. This just wasn't for me. I just had to find a way to get out of there. And then art was it. So that was really good. And then I'm really, really happy I made the choice. Of course, you still have to work really hard, especially when you're not in school. Because I tried to go to an art school, but I wasn't allowed in because I had to do a test, and they said that I wasn't creative enough for art school. So that plan, sort of like to go to art school when I was older, sort of failed like that, which is cool. I mean, no worries, it can happen. Um, but yeah, so I had to learn everything on my own. Luckily, like I said, there was the conceptart.org, so there was feedback from a lot of good artists that helped quite a lot, and there are some really good books out there. Uh, Figure Drawing by Andrew Loomis. I think the book is so old that you can just download it for free. Um, that helped me a lot. Like that was suggested to me by someone, or more than one person. I did that, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is awesome. This is a great book. It's from a really old guy, but the way he sort of like writes and then draws what he sort of like writes about, and it just for me that really clicked. So it was really for me it was a really good book. I really learned a lot from it. And then of course there's the Color and Light, I think, by James Gurney. I think he also has his own YouTube channel. That guy is really awesome. That book was really good. That helped me a lot. Um, I did some, of course, almost watched all episodes of the Design Cinema with Feng Zhu. He's freaking amazing, of course. Um, what else did I do a lot? Oh, I did a lot of photo studies, just like random photos from the internet, and then just draw those. That's something I did a lot when I was starting out. Doing a lot of self-portraits as well, like the one I'm doing right now. Um, yeah, that's and like a lot of anatomy. I really did a lot of anatomy studies. Portrait drawing also something I also did, which is also like a pretty cool practice. I'm not sure if a lot of other people do that. I'm sure they are. I'm not a genius. Um, I watch video clips, just like of people dancing and stuff, and then I pause it at random moments, and then I draw uh, those people in the video clips. Because they're usually just making weird faces, or so then you can draw a weird face, or you can, or they have a strange pose or something, and I draw the pose. For me, that helps, and I enjoy doing that. So that might be something that's something I used to do when I was training, and that's still something I do quite a little bit. So yeah. just practice in general. Just a lot of studying outside, draw people outside. Go to live drawing sessions. That also helps. Yeah, I just look at other people's work. I think that always helps to get inspired. Watch YouTube videos like from this guy named Roger or something. It's kind of inspiring stuff. Yeah, guys, I think I'm just going to call this done. I'm not sure what I should be adding. I think this is really just more rendering to complete this. But I am going to add one more layer of overlay and see if I can lighten this guy up. I'm just going to be the top of the head, right? Because this is where the light comes from. So it's going to do like this, and the nose a bit, and this, and his nose over here, and then the cheek. Ooh, he gone really scary. See that? Ear. Oh Lord. Yeah. So this is like midnight. I'm gonna go to bed now. As you can see, I'm never afraid in my dreams. Yeah. Okay, I am going to call this done for now. I might revisit it later if I feel like I can do like a few more hours on this. I could probably do 10 more hours on this or something. I don't know. You can just keep scribbling, and maybe give it a color or something. That might be good. I'm really gonna see if I can just like zoom in to really sort of like finish it off and just add some tiny highlights here and there. Ooh, where are we? On his forehead. I'm not sure if this is going to work. This might just look stupid. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching this. It's going to be like the final part of this video. If you enjoyed this, again, for the 17th time, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Perhaps press a thumbs up if you like the video. Give me a follow on Instagram if you want to keep up to date with some, because if I release a video, I will also like put it there and give a heads up. Also, I post more sketches and work related stuff and stuff like that on my Instagram as well. So if you're like interested in following that, then please feel free. It's just Beek art or Beek art. I think it's kind of weird. My surname is van de Beek in Dutch, but of course in English it's called Van de Beek, so it's kind of weird. So every time I said like Beek art, people think it's actually like a beehive in a cart, which makes no sense. Oh well. Yeah, if you wanna give me a follow, that'd be great. If you've watched all of this, if that's the case, then big props to you. You are amazing. You are a true fan, or you really have nothing better to do with your day. Which don't worries, I didn't have anything better to do either. Thank you, and hopefully I'll see you around. Again, leave a comment if you want. It would be good to know people actually watch this. It's not just some sort of like bots or something that press click and play and whatever and don't do anything. It's always good to know there's actually real people behind those numbers, you know, when you see them. So I would like to thank you for watching, and yeah, see you around. Hey guys, just a quick note. I was just noodling a little bit further on it, just waiting for a render, and I figured like there's still so much room to improve on this, so look out for a part 2 on this guy, alright? I just noticed that we had 1 hour and 20 minutes on this, and I think if I just like do about the same amount of time, I can really bring this into a whole nother level. So if you're watching this, um, see if there's a part 2. Could very well, but could very well be that there is. Okay? Thank you, and have a great day.